Hey everyone, Micah here with Electric, and today I'm coming to you from Southern California, Super 73's stomping grounds, where they've invited some of the press out to test ride their new Super 73 ZX electric bike. Let's take it for a spin. Super 73 was kind enough to invite me out to this press group ride so I could experience the new ZX model and see how it compared to the rest of the Super 73 lineup. The new ZX model takes the same basic design that we saw in Super 73's Z1 entry-level model, but makes a number of upgrades and improvements. For one, I can already tell that it's a better pedaling e-bike, and it feels much more comfortable when you do choose to pedal it. The only problem is that it's so much fun to ride on throttle only that I didn't spend too much time pedaling. They do offer a 10-speed transmission on these, but when you have 1300 peak watts of motor power that you can dump in an instant thanks to that throttle, well, you end up getting pretty throttle happy, if you know what I mean. But for those that do enjoy pedaling, know that it actually feels pretty decent, which is more than I can say for the original Z1 model that I tested a couple of years ago. Of all the different updates in the Super 73 ZX, the new saddle here is probably the one that you're going to feel the most. Without any suspension in the bike, having a comfortable seat is really important. The previous version of the bike, the Super 73 Z1, had a pretty uncomfortable seat. It was that hard, rigid seat, but now we've got a much thicker, softer, padded foam seat, and it really makes a big difference when you hit those bumps. In fact, my wife also joined me for this test ride, and she's a bit pickier about e-bike comfort than me. But she actually really enjoyed the bike and had a blast on it. It's been hard for me to find an e-bike that she likes enough that has the right combination of physical comfort and also comfortable power delivery, so I was pleasantly surprised to see how much she took to the ZX. Even though it's so powerful, the power delivery is nicely dialed in so it still feels plenty controllable. 1300 watts is no joke, and the bike can get up to 28 miles per hour, which again, these are serious numbers. But the handling is great and you feel nice and in control of all of that power and speed. When it comes to handling discussions on these high battery bikes, I always hear people complain about how if they would just lower the battery you'd get better center of gravity. And that's true, but I think the bike handles just fine the way it is, and keep in mind that lowering an 8-pound battery by a few inches is going to have such a small impact compared to the weight of a 200-pound rider 2 feet above the saddle, that it doesn't really make the kind of difference that people think it would. It's just such a small impact compared to that high body weight. When you're doing crazy maneuvering and you're leaning the bike underneath you for hard cornering, then maybe. But who's doing that on a bike like this? Super 73s are for fun cruising. No one's entering the MotoGP on these things. So the fact that the battery is removable, which is an upgrade over the original non-removable Z1 battery, is a bigger deal to me than the fact that it's located pretty high up. And to be honest, I love the wide open frame because it has that old school vibe, and I'd rather not see it junked up with a battery mounted low between my feet. I like just keeping this nice open boxy frame. The other area for criticism that I can already see is that many people are going to question the rigid setup and say you need suspension. Look, for anyone who really wants it, there's an option for that. You can pay extra to upgrade to a suspension fork. But to be honest, I don't think you need to. I spent the afternoon on a fully rigid frame and fork and I had a blast, as did my wife, who again is kinda picky about bike comfort. The giant tires are great for urban riding because they just smush around anything that might seem like you would have wanted suspension for. Of course, I'm not telling you to ride down stairs or anything, but for normal urban obstacles like curbs, potholes, etc., those tires are basically going to be all the suspension you need. If there was one upgrade I would have liked to have seen, it might have been hydraulic brakes. At this price of $1,995, I'd generally like to start seeing hydraulic brakes since they require less power to pull, give smoother braking, and require less maintenance. But the mechanical pull brakes on the Super 73 ZX still felt fine, and I think they're probably more than enough here. Super 73 did not cheap out on them, so I'm not going to complain there too much. I will say that I would have liked to have seen lights included as standard equipment. I know it's tempting to e-bike companies to hold those lights back behind a paywall, but I consider them important safety equipment, so I'd rather at least seen some basic cheap lights that look decent included standard, than charge me for some awesome looking light if I want to accessorize the bike. Or turn signal packages, you can upcharge for those too, that's fine, but give me some basic lights that I don't have to spend extra for, that's all I'm asking. All told though, I am quite happy with what I see and feel here. The Super 73 ZX is a fast, powerful e-bike with a comfortable new design, and has room for 2 riders even. It's got plenty of battery, and perhaps most importantly for a brand like this, it looks pretty damn awesome. I'm a big fan of the new updates in this model, and I give it 2 thumbs up. Riding one of these types of e-bikes is really an experience in and of itself. It doesn't ride like any other style of e-bike. You know, if you've been on an electric mountain bike or a cargo bike or a city bike, those are all different animals. These Super 73 moped-style e-bikes are just their own game, and the ride is so much fun that you really have to experience one to get the whole sense of it. It's just so unlike anything else, and it is an absolute blast to spend an afternoon like this.